Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You deserve it. Let's watch the show.
More soft with him, more woman ways. He would be more pleased and he wouldn't be that hard on me.
Yesterday was a hard moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too,
I think I was overreacting and I'm sorry for that.
It's great. We've seen this before with Natalie and Mike, that they are able to apologize to each other. And that's why, from the beginning, I have been hoping or wondering if they're going to get back to this place. This is wonderful. Might be the very first moment this season that we've seen on camera anyway, where they've been vulnerable with each other and just plain nice to each other. So this is great. They're both apologizing. It seems sincere. She's being more specific and saying, I'm sorry for overreacting. And that's great. Always 2 thumbs up. We rarely see this kind of behavior where people just apologize. So, you know what? I'm sorry for what happened. That's on me. And often it's great when both people can say, oh, you know what? I'm sorry too. And both people are responsible for taking responsibility for their part in it. And if they both take responsibility, then you don't have to blast the other person for, to force them to take responsibility. If you take responsibility and the other person takes responsibility, and you just keep doing that over and over again, that will go a long way towards creating love and intimacy and warmth, and also reducing conflict. Now, I'm a little worried that the 2 of them aren't really going into depth on what went wrong for them personally. Does Mike understand what's really going on with him? He seems to be coming off as quite cold to her. Does he understand what's going on that is hurt from past situations, the ring being tossed, saying that she doesn't love him? I'm just speculating, and he's stated as such that really hurt him. And does he understand that pain and that resentment is creating a barrier to his ability to be open and nice to her, essentially? I don't know. That's just a speculation, but I would hope that he would say something like that, or in that category. And for her, can she say something like, I'm overwhelmed with being in a new country. I feel a lot of distance from you, and that makes me really sad. And when that happens, I get angry and I start to attack, and I don't want to do that anymore. And so a little bit more depth. They're saying they're sorry. She's saying she overreacted. That's definitely a good start, but hopefully they can go deeper than that. Let's see what happens.
I'm very happy to be with you. Try to understand me as well, like I left everything behind me.
I know sometimes we have our differences, but at the end of the day, we both just have to remember not to fight each other.
All right. So she opened up a little bit and said that it's hard for her because, she had to move to a new place. And they've been talking about that, at least in a mild sense, since she arrived. And then he's basically saying at this point, well, we're just going to have to not fight. And I think what he's saying is, you have to not fight with me. In that sentence, I think it's at least implied, or at least that's the way I'm receiving it, that he's basically blaming her for all the conflict. Now, I know y'all comment below, and everyone has a different opinion. Some people think it's all her fault. Some people think it's his fault. Some people think it's both their fault. As a couples therapist, it doesn't really matter whose fault it is. Couples like this come in to my office, and I guess in my early career, I would have this knee-jerk reaction to kind of side with one who's more at blame. And as a couples therapist, and really in a relationship, there's no point in thinking that way. Unless you're so far across a threshold of abuse, because we don't want to say that no one's to blame if someone's being abused, right? You want to absolutely blame the abuser. But short of that threshold, we just want to live in a place where there's conflict and there's hurt feelings and there's mutual triggering of each other. And what can everyone do to move forward? I'm not encouraged by this conversation thus far. Again, they're not going deeper, particularly Mike. And Mike is going really quick to pretty much intimating, at least in my opinion, that it's all her fault and that she needs to not do that. As I've been saying from the beginning for the 2 of them, is that I think they have a lot of love potential, but they put up walls so effectively. They're very, very good about putting up walls. They have different style of walls. His walls is to be very polite, but to not be close. Her walls are to be judgy, I think, and to try to criticize and to comment on the things that he does. But I think that's just one of her walls. I think it's one of the ways that she protects herself. In fact, I'm quite sure of it, honestly, that if she felt secure and if he felt secure, he wouldn't do this kind of passive thing, and he would be more warm and more accepting and more inviting and more hospitable, if you will. And for her, she wouldn't be doing all the things that she's been doing this season. Well, let's see. They're continuing with the conversation. Let's see what happens.
Okay, I'm not here to hurt you. It's still really early. I'm trying to have a lot of patience, okay?
Sometimes I'm angry with him. Sometimes I want to run away.
So that's great. It seems like they worked it out. They kissed, they cuddled. That's a very good sign. It seemed genuine. A good kiss and a good cuddle can erase a lot of conflict. So we like to think of us as very verbal animals where we talk about things and think about things, but deep down we're just animals like any other primate, and we have nonverbal needs of feeling close, and that's why we use the word warmth when we're talking about emotional warmth, because we associate it very astutely with the warmth of physical bodies. When a child is born, you hold the baby really close to your body, and the baby feels your warmth, and you feel the baby's warmth. And that's an important part of bonding and goodwill between people. So they did that, and that's great. But as I usually will say, I don't have confidence that they've worked out how to communicate, how to investigate their emotions, how to figure out what walls they're putting up, how to figure out how they're triggering each other. They haven't had a conversation along those lines, and without that, I suspect it's just going to go right back to the way it was, and in all likelihood it'll be worse, because that's usually what happens, is the resentment and the pain just builds. But let's have hope.
But I don't want to live with anger for 90 days. I realize I have two choices. Either I'm married, either I'm right. I prefer to be married.
Yeah, so that's a saying that a lot of couples therapists will tell clients, which is you can either be happy or you can be right. That's your choice. You can choose to fight to be right and to prove the other person wrong, and you can be miserable, or you can give up the fight on trying to be right and making the other person out to be wrong, and you can be happy. Your choice. Which one would you like to do? Now, sometimes there's nuance to that, but it is a worthy perspective, a worthy wisdom to think about. Because if you think about it, like you're on your deathbed and you're thinking back on your life, I'm guessing that you're not going to tally all the times that you were right in a conflict with your spouse or your various different romantic partners in your life. I'm guessing that's not what you're going to do. You're not going to be like, oh, you know what? I really won that fight and I proved them wrong. How many times did I really win that fight and righteously rise above it? I'm guessing that is not going to be a priority. I'm guessing the priority would be these kinds of moments of just like, you know what? Let's just not try to fight with each other. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. Who cares? Let's hug and kiss and be with each other. It's great.
Does your mom know how the trip to Ukraine ended?
Yeah, I told my mom what happened. You gave the ring back and stuff, and oh yeah, she knows.
Mike talks to mom a lot. He tells her that we fight. I wish Michael wouldn't, because it's private.
Yikes. So there's nothing wrong with going, oh no, my future mother-in-law knows all about what happened. That makes me really nervous. I hope that she doesn't hate me. I hope I can bond with her anyway. Okay, that's fine. But to say, I wish that you would not talk with other people about our problems. I get the impulse. I totally do. But it is not fair to people. Now, you can ask your partner, there's some things that I don't mind you telling other people, but some things, but you know what? It's up to you. Because when you are at the depth, particularly, with Mike, I think he probably at some point thought the relationship was over. To expect Mike to not tell anyone what happened, to not go to anyone for help, to not go to anyone for emotional support is ridiculous, right? Of course. Plus, I'm sure that Natalie, talked with a lot of people. I don't know that, but I'm sure she talked to people. I'm sure we saw her talking with her friend about conflicts, about the fish and the Roman candle and the fireworks and stuff. She went right to a friend, and we would expect that. That's what we do when we have trouble in our marriages or our relationships. We have a therapist we talk to. We have a sibling or a friend or whomever, and that's normal. That's good. We should reach out more often. Now, what do we do? How do we protect our spouses? There's a lot of variance there for sure. And certainly we can see situations where some people will just talk utter crap about their spouse to everyone in their family, and then they wonder, why does my family and my spouse hate each other so much? Well, maybe it's because you're pumping your family and friends with only the negative side of your relationship with your spouse. So, there's a lot of things to consider. You've heard me talk about the casino. I think that's the casino there. I've been there. It's a nice place.
Try not to eat butter.
What's wrong with butter?
Well, butter's very good for you.
Yeah.
It's very good for your mind.
I just want him to be healthier and I don't know.
Okay, as I've been saying, you can absolutely want your partner to be healthy, but we can't control what our partners eat or do or exercise. You can say, I really want you to be healthy, and would you like some advice? And if the person says, yes, I would love your help, then you provide your advice. If the person doesn't want your advice, and I don't think Mike wants her advice about butter at this moment, then you don't have the right to tell people what to eat, especially around something like butter. I mean, if he was eating like raw metal or something, like if he was eating aluminum foil or something, then yeah, feel free to say something. But butter, I'm not a physician, but my physician tells me that, within moderation, butter is fine. There are some good qualities to it. But even if butter is bad for you overall, we do not have the right to tell other people what to eat, especially when we're essentially saying, you are fat, which is what she's been saying to him. And it's not okay. As I've been saying from the beginning, regardless of gender, it is not okay to tell someone, including your partner, there's something wrong with your body. I don't like the way your body is, and I'm going to control your body. I'm going to control what you eat, and I'm going to give you messages about what you can eat and when, and I'm going to tell you need to exercise, you need to lose weight. Since this is a woman doing it to a man, that we won't see it for what it is. If it was a man doing it to a woman, I think we would all see it for what it is. Just because it's the other way around gender-wise does not mean it's okay. It is not okay. In the same way that when I was watching Nicole and Azan was giving all these messages that Nicole was not good enough and that she didn't have the sort of body that he wanted her to have, and was forcing her to do all these different things and giving her all these emotional messages around her body and what she was eating, that is also not okay. People are allowed to have the body that they want to have. They're allowed to eat what they want to eat. You can, again, express your concern, but you can't control other people, and you can't just nitpick every little thing that they're doing.
Because with me and Mike fighting, I don't know, just feel like we don't have a wedding date, and Michael didn't give me a ring back, and I feel like unsure and insecure.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense, that she feels unsure and insecure. I think anyone watching this relationship as it's going would not know what's going to happen with the two of them. It's really unclear if either one of them are compatible for each other, if they like each other or love each other. It's really unclear whether or not Mike even is in it to win it at this point. there seems to be some indication that he has all 10 toes out of the door at this point. So, yeah, that makes sense. And I wonder, as I've been thinking about Mike and Natalie, if when Natalie feels insecure, when she feels shut out, when she feels like she's getting the cold shoulder and she gets hurt, which is natural, then she starts to nitpick what he does as a way of trying to communicate how she's feeling, as a way of trying to say, hey, please change who you are because the way that you are makes me feel really bad about myself. But she doesn't know how to do that directly. So she's doing it indirectly through comments about how he looks and what he's eating and what he's drinking. When in reality, what she's really hoping for is, do you love me? Do you care about me? Do you want to be with me? Those kinds of fundamental questions. And then, of course, Mike comes across so despondent towards her that they just continue to trigger each other in that way. And I'm guessing that for Natalie right now, she's particularly triggered because mom is there and Natalie worries that mom is against her or something. And so I would guess that if we could hook her up to a bunch of biomarkers, that we would find that Natalie's distress is up, her cortisol is up, her heart rate is up, her blood pressure is up. She comes across like everything's fine, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was in a high state of distress and was desperate for some way of communicating about that. And I think it comes out in those ways.
They're like, I'm going to give you back your ring to see if you're going to put it back on my finger. That's probably not real good.
I know that I done wrong with ring.
With the ring?
Yes.
So kudos to Natalie for being able to say, yeah, that was my bad. I did wrong with the ring. I shouldn't have done that. And she's pretty good at that, which is great. Not a lot of people on the show can admit when they've done something wrong, so that's good. I wish that they would not focus on the ring. I wish they would focus on, do we love each other? Are we compatible with each other? How do we work on our conflict? And let's not worry about the ring. Let's not worry about getting married. Let's just spend this time getting to know each other, and let's not rush the situation. This rushing to the ring, I don't think is going to help, because I think it's pretty clear that Mike is definitely not ready to propose, might not even want to continue the relationship with Natalie. So any discussion of a ring, I think, is really premature.
That's the first time I heard Natalie admit to her mistake. I mean, I was hurt. I was hurt. And so, yeah, it did feel good.
Great. So maybe this is the road to wellness for the two of them. Maybe he can now communicate that to her and say, yeah, the whole reason I've been standoffish is because I've been really hurt about that. This is what I've been saying all along. So maybe this is the beginning. We'll see. Maybe we can get back to the beginning of the previous season where they seemed so much in love. We'll see.
My mom's pushing us to set a date for the wedding. It's a good common goal to work towards. At least have her start with her mom to research that, to do what we need. It's a good thing.
Maybe I'm missing something, but for them to set a date for the wedding, again, just seems premature. Now, I don't know, maybe they have a ton of closeness and a ton of certainty that they're compatible, but that certainly hasn't been what's presented to us on the show. So now, maybe setting the date and putting the ring back on will get them started down a road of compatibility and openness. Maybe. We'll see. I mean, that could happen.
I would like something simple.
It wouldn't bother you if it was not in the church?
No, it wouldn't. In my country, we both have to be baptized. Michael doesn't want to be baptized. So I'm okay not to get married in a church because it's going to be not true. It's lie.
You guys could do something right out here.
Okay, so according to Natalie, the only way for it not to be a lie as a wedding is for it to be in a church, and the only way for it to be in a church is if he gets baptized. So why would you be in a relationship with someone that does not share your belief system if it's a no-go from the very start? Have we come back to that? Or I don't know. Maybe there's some flexibility there for Natalie, but it sounds like we've arrived where we began in the last season, where it's just a deal breaker for Natalie that he is not religious. And so if that's the barrier, then uh-oh.
I can only imagine, baby, okay? I know it's got to be hard.
This is great. So, I mean, it's not great that she's suffering, but that she's able to be open enough to communicate it, to cry tears of sadness and loss, to reach out to Mike, for Mike to care, the mom to care. This is openness of emotion that we haven't seen in this relationship. So this is a very good sign. If you haven't already, you can comment below. I will read the comments often, and then I do a reaction video to your comments, because sometimes people have some very interesting things to say. So go ahead and comment below. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.